Child, these helpers keep going down to all these damn brunches. They gonna need some of this tea to get some of that toxicity out of their system and them cheap ass waffles and little drumettes. Nevertheless, drop down in the description box to purchase these fine products. Alright, child, y'all don't blew me up about watching this old contra ass Belle Collective, Carlos King's latest production on the OWN network. And today was a nice, lazy Saturday. I laid in my dark room under the cover and I watched it, y'all. And, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Want to talk about it? Here you go. Nessa girl, I'm calling y'all about the Belle Collective episodes 1 through 4. Y'all have been wanting me to talk about it, and so I've got on the thing. You know, I'm not super enthused right now. Part of that is because it's just a lazy Saturday. And the other part about it is just a feeling of indifference or nonchalantness from the show. Let me start out by saying when I watched episode 1, at the conclusion of it, I was like, this shit is horrible. Like, this is garbage. By the time I got to episode 4, it went from being horrible to tolerable. It's something to watch. It's one of those shows where, you know, if you miss next week's episode and then, you know, because you're out to dinner or something, and then the following week you'll just watch the one that come on without going back and catching up, because it's just something to watch. Like, it's good background noise, but in terms of like running home and running red lights or something, you don't want to watch the Belle Collective. You know, we had the pleasure of having Carlos King on TGIF on Fox Soul Friday, and we talked about the future of reality TV, and we talked about how, you know, some of these shows having 10, 12 seasons, that stories have just gotten old. But here's something else I want to offer television producers, and I want to get y'all's input on it. Funky Bunch. Not only have their stories gotten old, this format and style of producing, quite frankly, it's just gotten old. It's gotten old, it's gotten stale, and it's so predictable. The formula goes, find an ensemble cast of 5 women and then create some sort of group project that binds them all, and let's see what happens. And so in this instance, the group project is buying back Farish Street. And Love and Marriage Huntsville, the group project is the Comeback Group. And R&B Divas, the group project was going on tour. It's just gotten old, because what we're now watching is truly an ensemble of women that, had it not been for this contrived project, they wouldn't even be in the same room with one another. And I'm not just talking about Belle Collective, I'm talking across all the shows, period. I don't know if it's time for us to just move to less of an ensemble and more on a just following this one person's life, go to commercial break, follow this one person's life. But these forced interactions, what really turned me off at the end of episode 1 was when Marie went to the brunch and then brought up the hair situation. That felt like the biggest they trying so hard moment in reality TV history. Like, it just felt so forced, fake, and contrived. And then I was rolling my eyes, because now on the next episode, Latrice and Marie now beefing, and then we already know the way reality TV works. they're being set up to be the two arch enemies of the show. And it's like, over this fake ass hair scene. And like in real life, nobody would come to somebody's brunch and just attack somebody about some damn hair. You know what I'm saying? And if the hair was bad, you wouldn't have put it on. You would have just put on another more suitable wig that you have. You got all this money. I'm sure you got more than one wig. You would have just put on one of your other wigs. You were sitting there curling that wig yourself. So when you saw it didn't curl, in real life, you would have went in the closet, just got another wig and came. So it's like, you know, Carlos, you my boy, and I love your stuff, but don't play with us. Like, and maybe that is what was necessary to kind of launch it and get it off the ground. And I hate to even say this, but Carlos, I just don't think the show is good. And you know, I go up and I just keep it real. I just don't think the show is good. You know, something else that Carlos did mention on TGIF was that, you know, the South and he loves telling these stories. I do think that there are some very interesting stories. And Mississippi and places like Alabama, so on and so forth, they deserve to get some shine. And the flyover states, they deserve to get representation in media too. But it's so hard sometimes as a viewer, especially if you grew up in the big city, when you watch these country bumpkins try to recreate or mimic or imitate what big city people do. You know what I'm saying? And it just comes off so country and lame, or whatever the case may be. And it's places like Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, they're like 50 years behind in coolness than everybody else. But I do like the fact that this show is showcasing that regardless of that, there's still some stuff going on, or whatever the case may be. So I'm actually only going to review episode 4 in its chronological format the way I do. But I want to go ahead and give an assessment of the characters thus far. Starting with Marie. Marie, you are a miserable, horrible bitch with a nasty attitude, and you go and you can't tell me you ain't nothing but a big old lesbian going with Big Bike Essie, okay? You and Big Bike Essie go together, and you was using your husband as a shield. I don't care what nobody say. Y'all are too emotionally and mentally in sync with one another, and y'all operate like a damn married couple. And that husband saw it. That husband, Cedric, said he don't feel like he in a marriage. He feel like you and Essie in a marriage, and he's just your side piece because he looks good in the suit. Baby, you hit the nail on the head, Cedric. That's exactly what you are. You can look at your family dynamic and tell that's exactly what you are. When y'all was sitting at the table with Marie's son, it almost looked as if you were looking for Marie's permission and approval to speak or chime in. I don't understand how you are the man of that house. Her husband, he punched a hole in that wall and you didn't punch a hole in his face. I don't understand how you, her husband, the man of that house, and you were not driving that meeting. I don't understand how you're her husband, the head of that house, but yet she has so little respect for you and the power that you wield in the family that she brings in Essie to mediate when that was your job, not only to mediate, but to mitigate. You know, Marie, when the episode opened up and they were talking about she got the mental illness, you know, she's making multi-millions, I immediately went up for you. Y'all know, I'm real bougie and elitist when it comes to education and all that shit. I'm on that. And then when she said she was going back to get her doctorate, and then when I first met Essie, I was like, I like this. This is black women doing their business, and I can't take that from you. You are doing your business. You're doing your business. You're doing it. And obviously you and Essie are doing whatever it is. You're doing great. But for you to be in mental health and for you to be as fucked up as you are as an individual in your personal life, that's very telling. And I'm going to tell you something. You know, sometimes y'all have to think twice about getting on these reality TV shows, because I'm not going to lie to you. Getting a glimpse of your personal life and not knowing you personally, I wouldn't want to do business with you. My fear would be for somebody who can't manage their own home, how they gonna manage anything they got going on with me. The other thing that I don't like about Marie, and this is a life teaching moment, y'all. Black people, and black women in particular, many times wear this, I'll cuss you out. I don't play. I'll set you straight. I don't play. I get a bitch together. Many of us, we wear that as a badge of honor, and our identity becomes, she don't play. She'll get you together. I'm here to let you know, if you are within the reach of my voice, there is absolutely no honor in that. There is no honor in being the person walking around that people say, oh, honey, because she don't play. She'll get you together. There's no honor in that. The way you came to that brunch with about that hair and just, I'm real and I'm loud. No, you're rude. You're not real. You're rude. Secondly, and I was going to say this for the episode, but since we already here, on the last episode, when the brunch was unfolding, it was not your place to shut down any conversation that was going on in that building. Now, granted, you may have felt that it was Lateshia's special moment. Lateshia may be your girl, but Lateshia was not in danger. Lateshia was not being hurt. Lateshia was not being jumped. Lateshia did not need you to come to her defense. And quite frankly, you overstepped your role as an attendee, because with Tambora, Cherie being the host, if anyone was going to speak up and rectify the situation, it should have been her. Not to mention, Lateshia lended herself and her energies to the racial conversation. Not to mention, in your need to be big mama with that big bike, you shut down what could have been a very, 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 very good teachable moment for both sides of the aisle and for the viewing audience. You ruined it. There was something there more for us to hear, and I'm gonna talk about that as we get into the episode. Antoinette's my favorite. Antoinette's my favorite. I'd like to think that all things constant, Antoinette would not be at the dinner table with any of those ladies. She just seems like a different breed. And Antoinette is the prime example, Marie, of somebody who is straightforward, transparent, succinct, and can still do it with style, grace, class, and respect. You know what I'm saying? It's not about what you say, it's about how. I love the way she carries herself. I love the honesty. I love she told Lateshia, you know, I talk shit about your brunch. In the event that it gets back to you, I did. But I'm here to let you know, moving forward, you won't hear anything of. That's maturity. That is a classy-based grown woman. I like Lateshia. I love what she's trying to do on Farish Street. I like Lateshia. Latrice, I don't not like Latrice. Latrice comes off a little bit to me as an imposter. There's just something about her, or something about the way she's coming off on this TV, like she's trying to be more than what she is, or trying to be somebody that she's trying to give more fab than what her spirit can accommodate. You know what I'm saying? And I think she's successful. I do think she got money. She got fashion. She got clothes. She got all of that, and beautiful home, and she got a husband, got all of that. But I don't know. It's just the way it's just not coming together for me. Now I'm going to tell you something. There's something sick, twisted, and nasty about that relationship with that husband. It makes me so uncomfortable. I almost feel like Latrice is an indentured servant. There is something mentally unstable and sick about your husband having to be everywhere you are, dictating where you can and cannot go. But I'm glad that you're not stupid, because you said at the pool, and you said out of your mouth, you didn't only say you had daddy issues, you said you had big daddy issues or profound daddy issues. And so you went and got a slave master when you should have went and got a psychiatrist or a psychologist. But you know what? I'm not going to knock it. If it works for you and you're not complaining about it, and that arrangement works for you and your husband, then have at it. But he really got you looking like a half a slave down to the national TV. Who am I leaving out? Tambra Cherie. Girl, you have to leave that pink lipstick alone. I'm not even in the mood to go in, so I'm gonna spare your life tonight. But leave that loud pink lipstick alone. That pink bubblegum lipstick. You know, that lipstick is what you give your 3-year-old niece when you buy them the Cinderella dress-up outfit and you decide to let them play in makeup while they daddy at work. And make sure they wash it off their face before he get home, because that's too grown. Yeah, I know how it go. Because I'm in media, you got a big personality, and I think it's probably great for what you do. I couldn't sit around you for more than an hour. It's just so big, and your hair is so big. It's just so big. So big. Anywho, let's get into episode 4. So episode 4, Tambra's talking about her regrets. You know, I'm not a woman, but I can speak to the pressures and the thought process when you get around this age. I'm 37, I think she's 40. And you start having those family conversations. Like, I'm at a place in my life now where I'm like, okay, if I get old, like real talk, what's going to happen to me? Like, who's going to look after me? You know, that in those regards, that's where a nuclear family or building a family, you know, becomes a topic of conversation. I ain't no spring chicken. So it was interesting hearing her have that conversation with Ramona about Ramona regretting not having babies, but having to put, you know, she wanted to have her career. But I can also appreciate people for being responsible. And when we talk about being responsible, I'm going to tell you something that I love and admire about Antoinette. That she honestly took the responsibility of having children very seriously, and said that, you know, number one, I have career ambitions. And number two, let's not pretend like we don't live in Mississippi, and raising biracial children in the South, you know, that can be very problematic. And so my only question, and I would be curious to know, is that if that was a concern, now granted, there's nothing you could do about wanting to open your practice, that obstacle was going to still be there. But why couldn't you and your husband just move somewhere else? And so I'm assuming you didn't or couldn't because you can't. So maybe his job is rooted there. He got a family business that he inherited or something. I would just be curious to know if that was one of the factors. And considering the fact that you're not from Jackson, why'd you even go there? And I'm probably guessing the man that you got with is probably what brought you there, whatever the case may be. You know, why didn't you go to just a more friendlier, racially friendlier city than Jackson? I would be curious to know that story. But I do respect the fact that you were willing to sacrifice your own happiness and let your marriage go. You set your husband free before you brought some tiny little people into a situation that you deemed less ideal. That's very mature of you to do, and a lot of people wouldn't have done it. They'd have had them babies to keep their man, and you said you wasn't doing it. Marie goes to counseling with her son. I'm gonna tell you something, Marie. You don't need to go to counseling. You need to close your pocketbook. you are in that very peculiar situation that a lot of parents sometimes find themselves in, where the reality of the situation is everything your child is, you made them. And you hate to tell a parent you did too much for them, and you hate to all parents go through this thing where they want to give their children everything they did not have, and sometimes they do it in excess to compensate for their childhood traumas. You are a better woman than I will ever be. Because your son is a hot mess. And not only do you accommodate it, you enable it. He has absolutely no incentive to do anything because he doesn't have to. That's on you. He got 3 babies under the age of 1. That's a problem. Then the fact that he's just completely emotionally detached from all of them, that's a problem. And I get being a grandmother that you want to help and you've got means, and I can't tell nobody how to spend their money. But them babies, although they don't deserve to suffer, they're not going to die if they go without a few things. You're supporting the babies and the baby mamas, like paying rent and stuff. Make it make sense. And the only thing that I can think of that will make somebody continue such bad behavior, like that, 'cause that's bad behavior, Marie, is guilt. Like I don't understand how you rationalize taking care of 3 of your son's kids, and I get that you want him to go to college and finish. But at the point in which he got 3 kids, baby, in the words of Langston Hughes, what is a dream deferred? Baby, his ass need to be down to the labor-ready, day-ready place working on a construction site, getting them $50 a day. He need to take a trade or something, and he needs to provide. There is no way in hell, Marie, that he's punching holes in your walls. You're taking care of his kids, paying his tuition, paying his bills. He has no consequences. And when you try to implement consequences, he's still very comfortable. No, he needs to be outside homeless. You need to completely cut the umbilical cord, and that is the only thing that is going to grow him up. Coddling him is not going to help him at all. And I'm going to tell you something. We talking about black men in America and black men become targets. You are creating. You're creating, I don't want to say a criminal, but you are creating what we as black men and as the black culture does not need. We don't need another one of him. He's a sorry ass man. He's sorry. Your son is sorry as shit. He's sorry. And I don't know where his daddy was, but that's his fault. And I don't know what the home situation was. Somebody's responsible for it, but he's sorry as all hell. Tambora goes on a date with her ex. That was cute. I liked it. I think they should get back together. The brunch. Let's talk about this brunch. Now, I feel 2 ways about this brunch, right? I like Kaylin. I like the white girl a lot. I like her a lot. I do. I like her. I like her. I like her. I think she's doing the best she can in a world that she does not understand. I do. I do think that there are some white people out there that are just completely oblivious to their privilege. Because let's face it, privileged white people, they don't have to be conscious of other things around them, because their world is so comfortable and they exist in their own little ecosystem, and they can only see what they see in their world. Now I'm gonna interject for a minute and say, when the ladies were going around the table talking and telling their stories, the level of uncomfort and disgust on Kaylin's face, it infuriated me. Because I'm pretty sure that those women took into account that it was a white woman in their room and they were not disrespectful. It actually was a very, very healthy, robust dialogue. I enjoyed it. And what Kaylin's discomfort for me, it infuriated me, not because of her, but because of the state of whiteness in America, period. It really just dawned on me that one of the key differences between white people and black people is that because access has been restricted to us, because of limited opportunities, because, you know, when we be in a room, we just be so happy to be there, we've been conditioned to sit in our discomfort and learn how to get the fuck over it, or get through it, or tolerate it, or bear it. White people, on the other hand, have been conditioned to believe and feel that the world is theirs, and that every environment they walk into should be tempered to their level of comfort. And they've also been conditioned to believe that when they are uncomfortable, they have the right to have an emotional response until the temperature in the room is brought to one that is comfortable for them. I was infuriated because her discomfort regarding situations and experiences that people that look like her put those black people in that room in, situations they put them in. She didn't do it on purpose, but she hijacked their moment. She hijacked her moment. She went out in the lobby. She had her white woman tears. And then once again, it was left to the black woman to come to the rescue of the white woman, because white woman tears are the ultimate sign of distress. The whole world has to stop once they start crying. And now what they were experiencing no longer mattered and was overshadowed by her discomfort. Nobody called anybody a cracker. Nobody said all white people were bad. The reality of the situation is, Kaylin, you have the luxury of walking around and pretending like certain things don't exist, or that they don't happen, or turning a blind eye to them, because you are at the top of the socio-economic and racial totem pole. You have that luxury to pretend. But I refuse to grant you any leeway in the area of you being white and living in Mississippi, the most historically, racially charged place in the United States. I refuse to believe, as a white woman who sits in the room with other white people and sits in rooms that those black women don't have access to, I refuse to believe that you felt that their experiences and their stories were anything less than true. It's not possible. It's not possible. While you may not be one of those white people, you definitely know them. They're definitely in your extended family. You definitely work with them on your committees and at your brunches. You've definitely sat at a round table with 10 other white people and they've said something disparaging about black people that showed that they were have an intolerance for black people. You're in fucking Mississippi. Give me a goddamn break. And that's the part right there that gets infuriating for black people. I don't see color. And it's not about you. You took that moment and you made it about you. You didn't do it on purpose, so I'm not going to go in on you. And I want you to understand that what you were feeling, Kaylin, if you see this or hear this, what you were feeling in that moment was called white guilt. It's a very real thing that white people need to deal with. And it's unfair in the sense that you didn't own a slave, you didn't do anything to this, and you come from a family that isn't racist. I acknowledge all of those, but the guilt comes from the fact that you still benefit and participate in a white supremacist institution. You may not do it consciously, you may not do it purposely, and you may not do it with any ill intent, but you still participate in it and you benefit from it. And that is why you were so uncomfortable in that moment with those ladies talking about their experiences. Because unfortunately, whether you want to believe it or not, you are still a part of those white people that they're talking about. You're a part of it. Whether you want to be or not, you are. And you're too smart not to know that. I just think you were emotionally overwhelmed. You're too smart not to know that. And then Marie does what she did. See, the beautiful thing about that experience and what we have to do more when we start talking about race is that there needed to be another 20-minute discord about how she felt, why she felt it, and for us to understand from the perspective of a good white person. Granted, there's been no other race of people in America who have experienced the atrocities that black people have. No other race of people, that's an undeniable fact. But black people have also got to understand that we don't hold the only license to pain. And we don't bear the only license to injustice. And we don't bear the only license to stress, tension. There was another side of that argument that needed to be heard. I wanted to hear how these types of conversations affect her and why. I need to understand that. And you ruined that for us, Marie, because you want to be the big dog. And then you tried to bait and switch and gaslight her because you was talking like you'll beat her ass, and she basically told you, come over here then. That's what she was telling you. And then you tried to make it about racial slavery. This ain't 1930. I ain't your slave. This ain't 1932. Somebody please tell this dumb hoe that the slaves was emancipated in the 1800s. Girl, it wasn't no slaves in 1932. So hell, you right, you wasn't her slave. You wouldn't have been one in 1932 either. You might have been her Jim Crow something or another, but you wouldn't have been her slave. Nevertheless, the Bell Collective. If I catch it, I catch it. I ain't gonna make no promises. We'll see. We'll see. Y'all be sure to like and subscribe. And enjoy y'all eating. I'm finna get here and make me a little breakfast bowl. And watch the Whitney documentary. And then I gotta watch Love and Marriage Huntsman. I'll probably call y'all about that tomorrow. Bye. I can't believe I'm not down to the bottom, like, oof.